questions there. So if you are ready to go.
Yeah, can we just do a sound check, make sure people hearing me in Zoom land? Am I good?
Yes, can we get some thumbs up from our Zoom attendees? Yep,
Am I
I see
good?
some, I
Okay.
see some thumbs up. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. English as a second language. I am an immigrant. Immigration is a little death, psychologists say. I am an immigrant. I have died twice. Those are the words from one of my students, Vladislava Fedorenko. She immigrated from Ukraine to Czech Republic and then to the United States. If you want to read her full story, it's in the Parrot issue 191. I start with that dramatic hook to just let you know who we serve. Most of our students are survivors from wars in Ukraine, Afghanistan, Syria, Russia, Iran, and Iraq, and other war-torn regions. In other words, they all bring intense trauma. Now that they're in the US, the trauma is not quite the same, but most of them live in or near poverty. Most are first-generation college students. And to state the obvious, all are non-native speakers of English. And let that sink in and what that means to be here in America trying to pursue a degree. It's hard. So in essence, all of our students are disproportionately impacted. We have a website that has been developed a lot over the past several years and needs some more development. Moving on. We have a very vibrant 4-credit academic ESL program. It's not just survival English or for shopping or for email. It's academic English. And as such, it's a very rigorous program. And in our experience over the past 25 years, the students really respond to that. They want to prepare well for college and they respond to the rigor. They appreciate that it's for credit and they take this seriously. And most of our over 90 sections that we had this last semester, most of those were full before the semester started. I know that's way too small to read, so I'm going to tell you, we've had a program metamorphosis in the past 7 years due to AB 705, 1705. We were put under the constraint of helping our students be able to reach transfer level English, so freshman comp, within 6 semesters. That's a really tough ask. It required eliminating our lowest entry level courses, which were a very gentle landing for students and gave them the idea of really, whether or not they're really ready to take on the academic English. And so that's had a lot of repercussions to try and streamline our program that way. In essence, it ended up creating a 25% deficit of time over those 6 semesters of the amount of time those students could be in an ESL class because we were required to condense it. Nevertheless, we stepped up, changed our whole curriculum, all of our courses, and now that we've had some of the domino effects of that over the past several years, we are in the process of updating all of our curriculum again. 2 profs in particular updated 2 of our courses and have applied for Type B leave to update the rest of our courses, and that would be very helpful for future success. Also, our ESL lab has been in the process of developing materials for those low-level students who maybe aren't quite ready for classes, to give them something to prepare them, and having additional reassigned time for that would be very helpful as well. I don't know if it's possible to expand our course offering, reinstate that lower level, but that would be great, especially since it's not required. So it's being not required, wonder if we could play with that and reinstate that. One thing I'd like to make clear, again, we are a 4-credit academic English program. And so basically non-credit is not helpful in our mind. And let me just say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Felt like this happened to us with AB 705. We had a very well-oiled machine of a program that just fits so well, and it's it's still a good program, really good program, but those changes have made it tough in several ways for scheduling, for students, their course load. So I don't think credit going to non-credit is the answer. I think the issues that we face are that we don't have enough ESL courses. We don't have enough classroom spaces for ESL courses, especially during high demand time. And we don't have enough ESL faculty and staff. So, yay. I put in some of these fun emojis when I heard we're supposed to be celebrating. My 11-year-old daughter was doing something with PowerPoint for school. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? So this is my new trick. Well, one of the things that we have had developed, this is just great, is that we have several new guided pathway milestone certificates in conjunction with other departments. And this is just a gem. This gives us a way to track student success in a way we didn't in the past. We're trying to expand these. In order to expand them, it would be great to get some more reassigned time for those professors who did that. It'd be great to have some more reassigned time for professors or office staff being hired to support and promote the certificates, to track those certificates, process them. That would be super helpful so that doesn't come back onto professors. You've gotten this far, so you deserve a reward. Why are all professors nuts? Because they work in macadamia. Come to department meetings, you'll get more of those. So, trophy icon up there is for the ESL assessment and placement process. ARC, ESL assessment writing sample, is one of 3 programs in the state among community colleges who received probationary approval to continue our assessment process as it is. One of 3 in the state, my friends. And that took a lot of hard work. And this assessment process and placement process is so helpful to getting students off to the right foot so that they then have continued success rather than inadvertently signing up for the wrong class and having the shock of showing up and seeing, oh, this isn't the class I'm supposed to be in. Horrible situation. To help continue this great assessment and placement process, there's a laundry list of things that we could use and need, which I think I've mentioned before. Continued reassign time, a permanent budget for this process, making our temporary IA a permanent part-time position, making the hiring of student help much more streamlined and possible, and to continue to support what's called the revalidation process to keep this going. The Holy Grail is there. And I like to thank Adam Wyndham for helping us get closer to pursuing this. And what is the Holy Grail in ESL? It's the simple idea of a student can only sign up for this class that they have met the prerequisite for or that they have assessed into, much like math has been doing for years. And why is that the Holy Grail? Because we have grammar 310 and grammar 31. And would you believe students get those confused? And so these poor students from grammar 31 will sign up for grammar 310, which is way too hard for them. They show up on the first day. Like, what? I'm supposed to be here. So this is a way of guiding students towards immediate success. And we're looking forward to having this implemented soon. It's in the works, and it's been a district-wide effort. And we're really, really grateful for that. So thank you to everybody who has supported. Angela, you helped give us the flag on that. This guidance within the system, because it's really laborious for teachers to have to track this down, talk to the students' email. So that's so grateful. Next to the Holy Grail, we have the hidden gem of the ESL Center, which has been just performing better than ever, more than 200% increase since 2022. A great program. There's an IA that's already been approved, but not hired yet for that. We'd love to see that happen. Some more reassigned time to develop that and have more sections of the ESL Center. Our enrollment is almost back to pre-pandemic, It's only 4% down, whereas the college is 7% down. So we're ahead of the college curve there. And one thing we'd really love to see is some ESL specific counselors who could perhaps spend part of their time in the ESL center or perhaps in the home base. Could be super helpful to guide them in their specific needs. I think I've covered those points already. Is it possible to track wait list attempts? Because that could be a really helpful thing for us. We've hired new professors too, and we've got another one coming. Yahoo! Yay! Thank you. We love it. ESL faculty is serving all over the campus and the state, and we're thankful to the support for that. We've had a really good synergy with the home base. The LNC home base is really been super, and we appreciate working with them. And of course, they can't end without talking about the Parrot. It's 18 years and running, 193 issues, and you could read it if you want. We'd love to keep that going and perhaps make that more permanent budget. Signage, swag, the Parrot Awards. There's so much could happen. Would it be possible to have a success tracker of if students have gained the employment they desire? Some of our students don't necessarily go for transfer. They're here, they get partway to a language goal, and then they're ready for an employment. That would be a good success tracker. I don't know how doable that is, but it's an ask. And thank you.
Thank you. I think that was perfect timing. So I want to thank you.
And I think we will open up to the floor if there's any questions. And she's looking at me.
I have a question. Thank you, Patrick, for this presentation, for all that you're doing for our students. I just met with a student, the ESL student, so wonderful, on her way to great league, right? Actually came here with engineering courses that didn't transfer, right?
Oh.
So I know you have a lot of students who are, who have similar stories. So thank you all. Fulfilling a great need in our community right now. Tell me a little bit about OER ZTC and progress in the department and what you see and what are some challenges or.
So we had an extensive discussion about this one of our department meetings this semester. A lot of us, the OER doesn't work well for us because we teach like 25 different courses in that variety, and the publisher materials are really great and generally fairly affordable in ESL. We don't end up having like the engineering calculus books that are $200-300. You get $50, $80, sometimes lower. And they do a great job because you might be surprised, but there's actually a lot of research that's going on that's informing current ESL textbooks. One of them is something called corpus-based English analysis. And it's actually talk about the Holy Grail. So they take 1 billion samples of English, they analyze the most frequently used words, and now we have a list in order of the words that are most likely for you to use in your field, whether that's general field of academia. There's something called the academic word list that's been developed as a result of this corpus-based approach, or some other subfield, political science. The vocabulary and grammar you use in political science is unique compared to what you use in math. And then there's the general college language and vocabulary that you need to succeed with a 4-year degree. And so a lot of our publishers have been using this, much to our delight. I've been asking for this for like 15 years, and like 10 years ago, it started to show up. And now it's almost just a given that you have this. And so we love these publishers for doing that. And that's really hard to replicate on our own as one example. So there are some courses that have gone OER, but in general, we don't for those reasons. And so that becomes similar to the ZTC.
Can you go back to the slides? Thank you for that answer, by the way, but just one more question. Go back to the slide that showed the certificates.
Oh, yeah.
And then which
which fields we've
Yeah.
paired with.
Yeah.
Oh, did I
know
just skip that?
Others that are
There we go.
interested in pairing. so,
Exactly,
yeah.
and we were, we've been talking to STEM about this possibility, so this is really great to see and just want to hear a little bit more about moving forward.
Yeah, so these were, so Beth Becker and Min Montgomery were our two who spearheaded this. And those ones in the middle are the ones that are paired with a specific major or area. And so business tech, computer information science, culinary arts, early childhood education, and health sciences, those are the ones that they identified as most frequently majored in by ESL students, and who also these majors, these departments wanted to do that. And I'm sorry to say, I can't tell you which ones are next, but they did say, oh, we have a few more that we really want to do.
There's interest from STEM. so,
Okay.
Yeah.
Chemistry.
Chemistry would like that too? Okay, anybody here would like that? Hogan P, 2 Gs and Hogan, otherwise they'll never get to me. So yeah, we would love to expand this. And again, this is, we weren't the first in the state to start this. There was a, excuse me, college, I think it's Cypress College, maybe one of the first to start these certificates. And, but we are among the forefront in the state of developing these. And since we don't have an ESL degree, this is super important.
There's a question in the chat that I'm going to read from Mei Yang. Do you know how new immigrants are finding out about ARC's ESL classes?
No, you know, I don't have a specific, I think most of it word of mouth, just everybody, the immigrant communities are very well connected, and but I can't say that we have a specific kiosk set up in, Sunrise Mall. We have our website, of course, but yeah, I could make up more, but I won't. Kristen? I'm sorry.
I had a quick question. So you were talking about that your lowest level class, the 20 level is not there. I know that, we do have adult education programs that are non-credit programs. Is there a link between our program and those where maybe there's that soft landing for them and then to come over and really get into that academic, preparation English?
So yes and no. So if someone comes to us and they, so when they're given a placement, the lowest level we can give them is our 30 level. But because we are aware of the existence of adult schools and we want to support adult schools, and we really encourage students, honestly, a year or two in an adult school before they come over to us. And we see the difference. Those who come like 3 months and then try to come to us, that's hard. So we have an advisory when we send them their placement. It's like, you actually placed at what we call adult school recommended level. So we try to guide them toward that. We can't legally prevent them from enrolling in our 30 level, even though they're not really prepared. So we have really tried to keep that in mind, because we know if their placement result is adult school recommended, they're not going to be happy in the 30 level, even though it's the lowest, because it's not 0 level. Right. So I appreciate that question. And we have several professors who teach also for Highlands Community Charter. So we have that communication going on. But yeah, we really try to push towards middle school.
Thank you.
Doug?
Patrick, can you just tell us a little bit more about your ESL specific desire to have waitlist tracking? I'm just interested.
So this comes from a desire of having had the conversation several times with students who say, I've been on the wait list for this class for 3 semesters and I still can't get in. So that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other disciplines with it. It just becomes, is it more frustrating because it's come from ESL student? Probably not. Everybody who's in that position is frustrated. So if Yeah,
That's great.
that's it.
Yeah.
People are repeatedly on the same wait list for the same course, but can't get in. Also, longer wait lists might be used. There's 20, just doesn't do it. I think I'm getting the boot.
No, no, like, thank you. I think we have to,
Yeah, we're gonna transition to, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, everybody. The last slide, right? The last slide was a big thank you to
Yeah.
everyone who supports ESL, and makes it possible. Blessed to be part of it.
take it back.
As we're waking this computer up, Kevin,
Yes.
please join us. We're gonna hear from engineering next.
Ooh, it's a battery low.
I also have it on flash.
Thank you. All right, well, you may be pushing things a little bit. You in there?
Yeah, it's here.
I'll send them back. It's the same. We're gonna have to do that. It's gonna have to start up. Oh, I can read.
Oh, I'll send you one.
That'll be faster.
We gotta go. We still need to open the Zoom on here
Oh.
to share.
You have it, right?
Nope. Oh, maybe, no. Yeah, but it's-
And we're all like, we're apparently all clustered in one part of the room.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't noticing until I'm looking at that middle one, like,
We all want to be next.
we're all right next to the door.
That's funny.
Oh, they didn't back memory.
They did, we didn't see it very often.
So I won't have.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience.
And all of this we have from the advanced slides.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Vanden Bogert.
Folks
Since
can
we
see
have to,
everything.
Yeah,
so I gotta sit down. All right. All right, well, again, afternoon. My name is Kevin Vanden Bogert. We're gonna go from what looks like when I came in, a presentation of a very large, somewhat established department to a very small fledgling department in some senses. This is I'm the sole full-time faculty for engineering. And up until just this semester, we've really worked with only 2 adjuncts in addition to me. And we've recently been able to get 2 more. And that's really thanks to Bill and Joelle for really pushing for that. I'll have more to say about the future in just a few minutes. Okay, so first off, engineering is a transfer program. So in order to be an engineer, our students must transfer to a 4-year university. And there's also a separate accreditation. Most all four-year universities will have this accreditation, so it's not an issue for us, but I just put it up there. So it's a bachelor's of science. So that is the goal of our students, is transfer 100%. Interestingly, to begin engineering, we need to have several prerequisite courses really out of the way first. And those would include at least one, but more than likely 2 semesters of calculus. So that's math 400 and 401. And then also general chemistry and physics 410. And really to get to the end for transfer, you'd also need at least physics 421. You take, for those students who would take the third and final physics, they would do that at the same time as they were taking, say, 401, for example. So once they have these basic chemistry, physics, and calculus courses, then they can enroll into our 400 level courses. Okay, and we have 3 electrical devices and circuits, and that's the highest course that's offered. That's concurrent and differential equations, which is about the highest math that's offered before transfer. We do have 3 300 level courses, and that's Engineering 300, which is an introduction. Engineering 310, that's a surveying course, and Engineering 312, which is engineering graphics. So I'm just going to go through 3 sheets of numbers, just to highlight kind of where it's pretty obvious where the disproportionate impact occurred. But what we're really looking at, well, you're looking at smaller populations here and there, but down here, what you're really looking at is the percentage point gap at the -25 and -18 for African American and Native American. And this is for the overall enrollment census. And then we'll break down some details in just a minute. The set standard is between 71 to 84, 3-year average for overall goal for success in our engineering student population was 77.9. So that falls within the set standard, but we're still below the stretch goal, or possibly the future there. Here we have, this is the AB and comparison AB rates. Okay. So this would be the students who pass with A's and B's. And so we can see the percentage point gap here. And these are small numbers, obviously, right here. So the percentages are really all that matter in this data set. But our percentage point gap is -46 for Engineering 401, which again is our highest course, and the DI is race, ethnicity, African American. And then the other percentage point gap down here is income. I don't have anything to say about that. I don't know how we can control that. So I'm going to ignore that one, but focus on the large -46 over here. And then for the course completion, okay, again, our highest level course, Engineering 401, has the lowest course completion. Now, we have other, notice it's all male, by the way, but we do have females in engineering. They all do well, apparently. And but those differentials across these different data sets, yeah, they exist, but their signal is much smaller, right? So finally, our Engineering 300, again, we have a very large point value. Now, what's interesting, and I'll mention this in towards the end, Engineering 300, which isn't necessarily a required course, but we generally have enough enrollment semester to semester to offer 2. That has no prerequisites to it. And so that is something that I'll mention. So any student could take that course, and that could be a good intro to engineering. But it looks like course completion is not where it probably should be. and I'll say more about that in a minute. Okay, so here's what we are in the process of doing. So beginning this fall, we have a half-unit support course for our highest level course, Engineering 401. Okay, and we're going to have another similar support course for our 420 course, which is statics. That doesn't show up quite as the signal's not as strong there for DI, but it's still a higher level 400 course. And so we're going to have the same type of support course for our statics course as well. And these are going to be designed to give additional instruction in problem solving and examination strategy, how to study, right? How to solve problems, how to think, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of practice in problem solving, kind of seeing the bigger picture overall. So this, we hope, will lead to improved course success. A few things that have also occurred are that full-time and adjunct faculty are taking on roles as mentors for student engineering clubs. Generally, we use those to support club leaders, and those club leaders will engage and get their friends or colleagues or classmates to join. Clubs are hit and miss, obviously, as most of you in this room probably know. Some succeed well, some don't. Some years they're good, some years, but that we have that. So one adjunct and myself have been mentors for a couple of engineering clubs. And then one of us, myself, I've done the Mesa Professional Development Program. So that's where I had put a link here, but that's every spring you have a student assigned to a professor, and then they are able to work with that professor, and there's a whole slew of deliverables that they meet, but they also get a stipend. So I've done that for 2 semesters. And the reason I didn't do it last semester or the last spring was due to the workload that I have. So, but I wanted to add that as that there is engagement with Mesa. Okay, so strategies. So we have these numbers that are somewhat large. A large signal is visible. We have been short-staffed in engineering since one of the full-time faculty members retired during the pandemic. So we went from 2 full-time to 1 full-time faculty member. As a result, we've had to move a number of classes to an asynchronous online modality. We just don't have the ability to run all of this in person. And the online modality does not necessarily work for all engineering courses. We've been approved to hire a second full-time engineering instructor. That is allow us to move all of our classes back to an in-person modality. We may still have, some online courses because there's probably a desire from students for that. But for those asynchronous courses, that particularly refers to our computer-aided engineering course, 312. That's going to be moved back online. And that is to see if we have higher success rates moving forward. So this, looking at the data set, the DI, it shows up most strongly in the beginning course and in the most advanced course. With the creation of a new parallel support course for 401, a reduction in the percentage point gaps is likely to occur. It'll be a test, and the same can be said for engineering 420. Engineering 300, we're going to move entirely back on campus beginning in fall, provided our faculty search is successful. That's the plan anyway. And then I'm thinking that probably a good starting point, seeing that showed up, is probably re-looking at the curriculum and possibly revamping that course in a way that will keep students engaged and moving forward, or at least inspired. So that's an idea. So it would be almost, you wouldn't want to do any summative type of assessments in that, it would be almost entirely formative. And then with a new faculty member, and thus a department with a distributed workload, that could lead to sustainability. We hope to see the data improve significantly over the next few years. And I think that's it. Okay.
I'm gonna open the floor for questions.
I'll ask questions.
Okay, yes.
Sound like we're gonna run in, but, and you probably know, one of the, goals of our board of trustees is to increase the number of OERs courses.
Yes.
So can you share with me a little bit about what you are doing and what you see, what challenges you see with it or how?
Okay, yes.
So, and to the point, well, first of all, can I just say, first of all, thank you, and thank you for sharing your data also very transparently. We've been, looking a lot at the data, right? And trying to put embedded tutors into some of our highest need areas. And so just, something to think about as well. But thank you for sharing the data. It was informative and like when you, one of the DI population was low income. And so that's what also part of the question is, right? How are we helping these students? Right, with OERs, ETC.
Okay, so OER, yes. All right, so engineering doesn't have, so there are not as many open educational resources that are centralized in engineering as you might find in some of the other STEM disciplines. So one of the first examples would be out of Rice University, the OpenStax textbooks, which you can download online free, or you could get a print copy at fairly low cost. That has lots of topics in STEM, statistics, physics, chemistry, biology, anatomy, and there's nothing for engineering of that, and math too. So yeah, there's nothing for engineering in a repository like that or a program like that. So for open educational resources, for engineering would probably be going out to like MIT OpenCourseWare or finding resources online from other colleges and universities. There are some textbooks that or professor notes that are somewhat like textbooks you can find. Those generally will be for upper division classes though, not really for lower division, and they won't have all of the pedagogical type of learning in them. And then finally for me, so for example, I have an old edition that is a PDF that I use for 412. So students don't have to purchase a book for 412. I just use an older edition and then supplement with my own resources. And for our 312 class, the text is from a publisher and it runs about $40, $43, and it's available as both print and electronic. So there are some publishers out there. It's just not quite as extensive. So that I would guess that the short answer would be that we have maybe those PDF documents in our Canvas shells for students to use in lieu of a textbook at this point.
And thank you for letting me visit your.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, first question, so you folks, since your last program review, you're now in the STEM building.
Yes.
And you're also talking about expanding your on-ground offerings. It sounds like it's mostly in 300, which may not have a lot of lab requirements, but I'm just thinking, do you foresee with an expansion and on-ground, any facilities constraints you'll run into in your new space?
Yeah, well, so we're gonna expand to a second section of 412. And then that will be in the engineering lab. So then they'll have two in that singular lab space, 2 courses, one in the morning, one in the afternoon for the fall. And that's a lecture lab combo course. And then that'll be like Monday, Wednesday, and then the 401 will have 2 sections of that. Because currently we have 1 in person and 1 online. That's going to come back in person. So that's going to be like on a Tuesday, Thursday. And Bill has done a lot of good scheduling around this. And then the intermediate space will be used for at least one of our 312 classes. So that's going to have that's going to be filled up pretty high. And if we go beyond that, so we've also looked at using, and we will get one of them. There's 2 rooms, one in the 300, 305, I think, and then on the bottom, 120 maybe. But those have the computer lab space that we could use for our 312 class. So we're looking at grabbing what we can and then future scheduling early on, try to grab that space. If we move beyond that, then yeah, we will be constrained for that. So we're managing right now. But, if I want to add another course or we want to add another section, then, yeah, the constraint could show up down the road. Mhm.
What would you recommend to a high school student coming to ARC? What would you say? Opinion, or what would you recommend these students to, if you're thinking about engineering, what would you recommend a high school student? As you know, we have a lot of high school students that are thinking about engineering. So what would you say to, hey, this is what I recommend thinking about?
Coming over to American River College?
Right.
Well, we have a good professor, right? And we have excellent modern lab facilities. And I would say also that there's excellent MESA program, and seems to be a lot of student engagement amongst the engineering student population. And I think that's other than the inspiration of wanting to be an engineer, what could they do in high school? But coming to ARC, those would be the first things that come to mind. It's also affordable, and it's fully transferable. Okay, so. Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge you received, I think, flowers in the chat box, and I think from your dean. Kevin manages one of the most complex lab spaces in our campus and does a great job of giving our hands-on learning with the latest engineering and equipment. So those are your flowers.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll be moving on to political science. That's Jeannie.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't agree.
Switching on my.
That's okay.
Yeah. All right.
I got my stopwatch here, I promise. Not Snapchat.
Well, professors, we like to pontificate, right?
Exactly. I'm gonna try and keep myself within this 10 minutes. So thank you all for being here. It's really nice to see you. I'm here to present the program review for political science. I am currently serving as chair, and my name is Annie. All right, so what is political science? As exhibited by our updated website, we really focus on helping students understand government and politics as it shows up in their lived experience. So we're sort of examining government and politics from the bottom up, right? And then there's a focus on helping students develop the skills and knowledge to influence government and politics. And we support 2 sort of different groups of students. So on the one hand, about 1,000 students take our Intro to Government United States. This 301 will be C1000 that should have an H in it each semester. And most of these are not political science majors. And then we have about 150 political science and global studies majors who are taking our full range of political science, politics, women in politics, international relations, etc. And when we're thinking about disproportionate impact and how we advance equity, we think of it in three concentric circles. So one is what we can do in our classrooms. Then we think about what we can do to influence our institution. And then because we are political science, we are also thinking about the broader context of our students' lives and how we operate as actors in a hopefully democratic society to influence that. And I want to say, when I think about sort of advancing equity, we have often felt like we are running to keep in place since the last program review. So there's been a revolution in the way that information is produced and the way that it's consumed. And we're at a point where misinformation and disinformation is more frequently shared about politics than factual information. We're experiencing rising authoritarianism in the United States and around the world, rising levels of violent conflict. The global pandemic seems almost like a minor detail at this point, right? But all of these have a profound impact, particularly on our DI students, right? Some of whom are very directly threatened by current policies. We've also dealt with, if we look at the institutional level, the Davies closure and the dramatic unplanned shift to online, where we're now operating, where most of our students, we only engage with via screens. So what have we been doing beyond holding ourselves in place to advance equity in our classrooms? So we're doing what we see as cutting edge teaching approaches, and then we're trying to push that edge a little farther through innovation. We're constantly updating our materials, curating a set of materials, content delivering materials that are anti-racist, decolonized, and we have invested in developing also OER and ZTT materials. And I want to emphasize the challenge of this in a disinformation environment where factual information is often behind a paywall for students. Disinformation is free, and we're having experiences like government websites that we used to send them to are gone, and I'm taking screenshots so that I can use that in my work, right? We've been innovating and implementing UDL teaching strategies, things like authentic assessment and active learning strategies in the classroom and online, simulations, games, et cetera, that are shown to particularly improve experiences and outcomes for DI populations. We've engaged in efforts to both identify and meet students' modality needs. In many meetings, I've talked about a survey we've sent out to our online students. We now have about 1,000 respondents. One thing we found is about a quarter of our students weren't even aware we offer our Intro to United States Government class in person, even though we offer it Monday through Thursday, multiple days a week. We've also engaged in data collection analysis to really deepen our understanding of our DI student progress, right? So if we look at outcomes we see in terms of who's getting an A and B, right? In our 301 class, it is disproportionate impact is African-American students, Latinx students, low-income students. And what we're trying to do is say, okay, these are students who have also experienced disproportionate impact when it comes to previous educational opportunities. So what does the difference look like in when they started in our class and where they end in our class? And there's some evidence of progress, right? So one of the things we do is we do a baseline pre-test when we're looking at their basics of government information. And then at the end of the semester, we do a post-test. And we've been working with the Office of Institutional Research to analyze this. And one thing we found is that our low-income students, in particular, those who are below poverty level, low-income but not at poverty level, they make bigger jumps over the course of the semester than our higher income students. So we're really trying to see what change might occur in our classrooms. So again, we're also trying to advance equity within our institution. That's meant advocating for appropriate learning spaces, for appropriate class sizes and ratios, and also asking for better student guidance and helping them select whether they're going to be online or in person. We've really worked hard to collaborate with our home base in sending students to receive support services, but then also circling back to see what their experience was, were their needs met. So for example, we have an assignment where we have students proactively identify what support they might need. And then a few weeks into the semester, we say, okay, did you get it? How did it go? We've also been actively involved in collaborative efforts, things like updating the new template as part of for what was 301, now it's going to be C1000 for the Common Core Summary Initiative, participating in helping update student guidance, particularly in the face of the new AI revolution, et cetera. And then when we think about advancing equity within the broader context of our students' lives, our curriculum really we've sort of revamped it, our intro to American politics curriculum, or at least some of the courses some of the sections we teach with some leave time to focus on what we call a model of informed civic action that does two things. One is it builds students' capacity to actually expand and update their information about politics in real time online by separating fact from fiction. Right. So most of what they learn about politics that's relevant to their lives is not going to come from our classroom. It's going to happen after they leave our classroom. So we want them to have those skills. And then how to apply that, how to turn that into democratic actions that might benefit them, their families, their communities, the world at large. We also have an award-winning Model UN Club that offers students hands-on experience, simulating international cooperation toward peace and development. Finally, we advocated to retain American institutions as a local requirement because we strongly believe that all those Rio students really need to influence, understand, and then also be able to influence those government institutions that shape their lives. What we need. So many of you have heard some specific things. We're not shy about saying what we think our students need, but we wanted to sort of focus on two big things. One is improvements in basic functionality. So what am I saying here? We had a big setback during COVID, and then we had a big setback during Davies, and we are not yet back to baseline. And it shows up in all these little things that have a big impact on our students' lives. Many of our students have been failed by systems. Many of our students experience instability. So when we have instability and system failure, that really hurts. And it's not something that's going to show up in a slideshow or a list of achievements or a report probably, but we just need some potentially even additional resources to just get things back to baseline. The other thing I would say is we need to look back at class sizes and the student-instructor ratios and update them in order to reflect our commitment to equity. So one instructor serving 225 students, which is our ratio, political science when we're fully enrolled, maybe made sense when we were looking at a one-size-fits-all curriculum rather than trying to have a very multiple ways of presenting information, student-driven opportunities to shape what they're learning about authentic assessments. It maybe made sense when what we did with Sage on the Stage, right? I profess, you take notes, we all are happy, right? But it doesn't make sense when we're doing active learning and I'm doing a simulation where you're going to be a member of Congress and you did a committee. Maybe made sense when I just gave you the updated version of the textbook every semester and had you buy it, not when I'm trying to recreate the materials. Sometimes in real time, the content of political science literally changes on a day-to-day basis for those of you who are reading the news, and making sure that material is, accessible, free, et cetera. There's a reason I'm on the professional leave committee, and we keep getting these, please give us more release time for OER because it just takes time to keep this stuff updated. And maybe, again, made sense when what we were doing was just instructing students, filling their minds. But now we're trying to really offer these wraparound services, holistic support. I had a student crying today after class with me who I'm going to connect to a counselor, working to really look at the context that is holding them back and connect them with warm handoffs to what they need. So I strongly advocate for a relook at what we're asking our instructors as the people who have that. We see our students twice a week. We're in touch with them sometimes every day, so that we can put our money where our mouth is and really make those changes. Thanks. 18 seconds over.
I'm going to open the floor for questions.
Thank you for answering the OER CTC question.
we're doing it. But.
No, I just want to thank you also for all you do. I mean, I know you shared with us when we did kind of a listening session earlier this semester, just about the challenges of just being in the classroom at this state of the nation.
Yeah.
Right. So just thank you. I don't know if you have anything more to share. You shared some there, but just the challenges. I mean, And you shared a little bit, right, how it's changing every single day and what, again, we see, I mean, obviously our larger kind of institutions, right, and what we thought were core to us, as well as facilities and, all of that. So just thank you to you and your, colleague, well, everybody is facing it too, but I know you shared a little bit more what it was like in the classroom when you're talking about some of these things. Yeah.
Thank you. It's just a great job. I am a very appreciative. And so the 1 to 225, I'm assuming that's 45 per 5.
Right. There's 5 sections, 5 times 45 equals 225, so. The math, if you find out how many minutes you're supposed to spend with each student per week if you're studying with your grad, it's just sort of comical. Does it work?
And we're hoping to, just on that note, we talk about the whole supporting human beings holistic student approach, right? We're trying to do better, just in ensuring that all the faculty know the resources. And so we'll soon be going live with an internal, because this is what we've heard as well, right? Like there are a lot of resources on campus. How do you find them?
Yeah, well, and maybe I can speak to that. Actually, I'm going to speak to 2 things about the sort of time. So one is, again, the time, if you were prepping classes, updating materials, keeping abreast of things, but then also finding that what would be the best video about this to show in your classroom that centers, DI populations as sources of expertise, brings in, different voices. Like it's so much time every semester. There's no sort of, well, just, here are the same slides or here's the same video, right? So I just want to highlight just the hours that go into that. And then with regard to the sort of wraparound services, I think this is why we've really tried to work hard with home bases. Because for me as a professor to be this sort of triage and keep track of, it's not only what all the services are and what they offer, but if you're doing warm handoffs, you want to know that person. And I think the home-based model is a brilliant model where I would feel confident saying, look, you as a student don't need to know all the acronyms, you don't need to know all of the different things. You just need to know to go to your home base. And from there, it's the hub. And so we've done things like I bring my students there the first day. I've worked with Jeff, who's our faculty liaison, and Shelvina to try and create a flyer that would show that, depict that. Like, what do you think you might need? Come here and you'll go there, right? So that would be ideal. Not that we as faculty have the directory in our head, but that home base has that directory and we can feel confident that that part of our workload is, there's a person with expertise to do that. Does that make sense?
Annie, will you share that flyer when you finish it?
Oh, I'm just bossing other people around.
I want to say it already exists. I think I've seen it.
It does.
I think
We've sort of given feedback on the initial version because we felt like it was, we can share the feedback we gave. It didn't quite convey what we were hoping in terms of 2 ideas. One is that it's any home base you can go to and you're going to get all the campus services. And then just the comprehensiveness of, students knowing even like you need diapers. We actually have diapers. If you need diapers, we have diapers. That's a great thing to know. So helping students even imagine what to think about. And I'll also say, we probably all know this, but it's the students, there are students who are going to get what they need, right? They're going to show up at home base because as soon as they know there's free stacks and free printing, they're going to be there. And then there's the 70% that need it, but won't ask, so it's how do we, use our contact with them to bring them there. And then once they're there, how do they get access to all that?
I think the other thing I would just like to say is that, when I first heard you talk about how difficult it is to teach in this particular moment, it was a little bit of a revelation because of course that makes perfect sense. I hadn't really thought about it. If you're talking about something like checks and balances, for instance. So that problem is a credit to your obvious commitment, to the department's obvious commitment to make real life learning in the moment. This is what it looks like. This is the problem. So I'm sorry you're having, I'm sorry for you all. I'm glad for our students though.
Thanks. Thanks, yeah. Maybe we'll just go back to the party system of the 1800s, just to focus on that. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so very much. Oh, a little bit behind schedule, but we have time. It's not you, it's with us.
So I'm gonna set up for certified nurse assistant program. Thank you.
Hard to get out.
I'm sure what you would get to not have interesting times. Right?
Thank you.
So I just went with the arrows. And arrows on the keyboard to advance your slides.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so good afternoon. Welcome to our program review. I was selected for this semester. I've never done this before, but here I am. I am Dr. Ingrid Marr. I'm the program review author, also the program director for American River College Nurse Assistant and Home Health Aide programs. And I have assumed this position 2021 and moving forward. So I'm looking, because I have not done this before, it's like, well, how could I present this? And the ideal that I shouldn't say that I came up with, but it was like, if I wanted to get students to enroll in my program, what my program is about. So I figured, well, let me start with a video to see if you would be interested. It's a very short video, so hopefully it will play. Nope, it didn't. It plays on my drive. Would I be able to put my drive
You
in?
can try. I mean, I don't know.
May not play. We'll try it. Same thing or not? Is this the same one or the new one?
Did you?
Mhm.
So then go to the second slide.
Mhm. Okay, there it is. All right. Hopefully this will work. So like I said, I want to grab more students to enroll in the program.
Hold on.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your patience. So this video is on our ACR website, a short video of what and details of the CNA HHA program. Ooh. It's doing something.
Maybe put it in presentation mode.
I don't think, let's see.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Okay, the key is gonna be audio. Yeah, that's the one thing that I think. Oh. Oh. Huh.
For your barista, your gardener, you make sure their environment's safe, you make sure they're safe, you cover all these bases.
But I don't think your
I'm very
audience can
social
hear.
with the residents and I like just talking to them. It makes me happy to do something that I love to do.
Should I open
The
this?
basis of the DNA program is to teach the student how to care for an elderly person
You can probably
who
do
lives in
the.
a long-term care facility. So they learn the normal aspects
No,
of
it's not
aging,
playing though.
as well they learn
sorry.
the
It's not.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want us to try to do it?
Well, there's a short video for this on the website. So that's, that will give the students an idea, well, okay, well, you know, maybe this, program is for me. So we do offer, a nurse assistant course and also a home health aide course. Let me see if I can go to the next slide.
Nice.
There, get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, there.
Oh, now it's trying to play.
Oof.
So the program is a total of 14 to 16 weeks, so which is a full semester. And immediately thereafter, there is a 2-week program for home health aid curriculum as well. Let's see. My inequity advance, I can't see it, advancing actions. For the curriculum, notice that to maintain an equity and diversity for the students, we use a lot of different case studies and different patient scenarios that are culturally competent and training. And when we do our clinical placement, we rotate the students through a diverse healthcare settings within the community. I have, at one time, I had a total of 8 different clinical sites, realized that, well, I can't be in 8 places at the same time, but I had backup, which is, you know, excellent. And so that the students will always get like a fresh ideal of what a skilled nursing facility will be, because that's where they have their clinical practice, at a skilled nursing facility. And they have a total of 13 clinical practices. Theories, scenarios are a total of 10. The California Department of Public Health mandates and governs and provides the licensing for our program. And the minimum for the California Department of Public Health for the students to obtain their license and their certification is 160 hours minimum. But here at ARC, we offer 180. So they're well above the minimum. And when they take their state exam, they pass. They pass. So I wanted to share that as well. I also ensure that all the students get equal hands-on training experience. I'm with them, once again, I'm program director, also instructor. I have no adjunct faculty staff. The program of California Department of Public Health allows 1 instructor for 15 students. So each of my cohorts are at a 15 student minimum. I do have students on the waiting list at times, but we just roll them over into the next semester. The semester is open on, is available during fall and spring only. There is no spring, summer semester. I wanted to share what the criteria is to get into the program. You at least need to be 16 years of age. Last cohort, last fall 2024, I had 2 students that were 17 years old, just finished high school. And I was very impressed with them. And then throughout the program, they both became 18 years old, but I was just amazed on how focused goal that they were, and for me to support their dreams and aspirations of wanting to become a certified nurse assistant and also a home health aide. So the criteria is be 16 years of age, of course, have a social security card, be free of tuberculosis screening, pass a criminal background check so that they can get their fingerprinting and life scan done without any issues. Also, our requisite here
it's, they can, take a prerequisite, which is, medical terminology for, healthcare professionals, which we offer and which I also teach here at American River College. It was formerly known as, AH 110, but now it's AH 311. So the students, we recommend for them to either be enrolled in the class simultaneously while they're taking the Certified Nurse Assistant course, or they can do it as a as a prerequisite where it's already, they already had the class and they have to pass with a C or better. But other than that, would take them as long as they were over age 16, passed all the health exams, enrolled in age 311, or have already fulfilled that prerequisite. And so let's see, but I really love this part, the skilled nursing facilities where they have their clinical practice. Those employers will hire them, the skilled nursing facilities that we're partnershiped with, they will hire them while they're still a student, while they're in the process of taking their state exam, and which is phenomenal because I have run into some skilled nursing facilities, they want them to already be certified and licensed before they, get them on board. So what the students, what they learn while we're at their clinical practice is that they're pretty much being already, how can I say this? They're already submitting to interview by showing that they're capable and able when they're paired off with CNAs that are already on part of the staff there at the skilled nursing facility. The CNAs are, giving them valid training, and also they're giving the employer feedback on how that student performance was. And so I just reemphasize to them, do your best, be flexible, come on time. Employers are looking for this, for the workforce, they're not looking for excuses. They're not looking for, of not being present or being on time or just, or any other issues. So they're performing at their best there because they know that they are being, in the spotlight while we're there at the facility. But also, and they perform well. So they get hired as students. And then I also another great part is when I go back to the facility, like for the following semester, where I see my students, they're already working there. They're like, hi, Dr. Moore, how are you? I got a job. And I'm going, yay. And then my new students, see, this works, so they're really, I just find that just phenomenal. And it just makes me extremely happy of what RC is able to, succeed with this programs. So also throughout at the end, towards the end of the program, I also give them resume on how to submit a resume, because some of them don't know. Some of them, they need to critique a better resume. I also give them mock interviews to where we sit down and we all get together and give them positive feedback, and also address something which you can, do better for your interview that's coming. And that's worked 100%. I've had student feedback where that mock interview and just the preparation for the course helped me land that first job, immediately. So, once again, thank you. So strategies for DI. I could not find anything in the annual unit planning under the Certified Nurse Assistant program. I don't know if it's because I'm just one instructor. There's only 15 students for each cohort, but I do get when they pass their state exam, they don't have anything about culture. It's just whether or not you passed or failed, how many students. But I do want to share with you, when I started 2021, it was all females, okay? My first cohort. And then 2022, all females. 2023, all females. And then 2024, I finally started getting male students who are interested in nursing. So I think I've succeeded on getting that DI, taken care of. Also, cultural diversity. Like I said, throughout the program, throughout the curriculum, We do a lot of case studies that are culturally, sensitive so that they will know, how to just talk to people in general, not to have any barriers, not to have to overcome that barrier. So throughout the program, we do a lot of cultural sensitive role play to where and also we also get together and I want them to talk about their culture, because when they talk about their culture and we share each other's, then we learn from each other. And so that helps. And so with this program, my last cohort, I mean, it represents, maybe I can put my own stats through the annual review, but we have Ukrainian students, we have students that are from Afghanistan, we have students that are African-American, we have students, I mean, we have, we are just so diverse in my small cohort of 15 students. So before I didn't have like a lot of minority students, and now I have just every, I shouldn't say every, but it's very diverse now. So I'm very impressed with that, it's students are coming and it doesn't matter, from different cultural backgrounds, and that I'm learning from them as well. And of course, the other students. So strategies that I would like to establish is to reduce the financial barriers. I mean, that is something I think that is all of our goals here at a community college for our students. I do have a few grants that do cover the textbooks. I also have purchased ebooks, so if they want to do it electronically. Uniforms have been an issue, but I've used different grant monies for them to have uniforms and also to pay for their state exams. State exams are extremely expensive, especially if if you don't have a job, or if your job only pays, so much or whatever. So I am looking for other avenues to also add to help with the financial barriers so that they can, I wouldn't say go to school for free, but definitely release, the cost for the students so that they can think about their education and not how am I going to pay for this and how am I going to pay for that. So another equitable academic support is that when I do pair my students at the clinical practice, they're working with CNAs that are diverse from different backgrounds, and they're just learning how to implement the training that they had into a real life, scenarios. And also, the healthcare facilities I did mention, they hire all of the students from it's inclusive, the skilled nursing facilities that we're paired off with as partnerships. So what I would like, because I am the director and the instructor, in the future, I would like to get an instructional aide so that I can spend more time with my students in lab. For program directors here, I know for a fact that we have a lot of responsibilities. And so when I'm doing a lab, I'll come on a Saturday and spend 4 hours just setting up and, taking things down, but, making the lab accessible and ready for my students. I do that a lot off hours when of course, when I'm not in lecture or off site with my students. So it would be great to have an instructional aide to be individual, so that some of my students, they're quick, they'll catch right on, but then there's others, they move at their own pace or they need more encouragement. So if I had an instructional aide that we can do more one-on-one, where it's not so that the students could have more support when they're practicing their skills lab. Also, that instructional aide, I'm the instructor, so they would shadow me on hands-on training to assist in the labs. And also through the cultural competency training that I provide with all of my students, it also gives them a background on how to work with people in the community that are diverse, that has different diversities, to be open-minded and accepting to all. So with that, that's basically what my program is, and I'm open for answers and questions if you have anything you'd like to ask.
I just want to say thank you, because
Sure.
I know how much work, we talked about, and we hear from all the program reviews, how much work everybody is doing. And I recognize the work coming in, doing the extra to make sure your classes are prepped. So just thank you for making it a great learning.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I love what I do and we're all dedicated. If not, we would not be here. So, but thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And thank you for sharing on the, OERs, ETC, because, I mean, we are always trying to reduce costs barriers
Yes.
for our students. And so, I mean, you shared how we keep costs down. Can you share a little bit more about what open educational resources look like, are available? It sounds like you cover, through grants, cover the cost for the students, but I was just curious about any OER material.
Let's see. Other OER materials would be, like getting mannequins for the lab. When I started, we had one that the head would fall off and the arm would fall off, but I'm so grateful for the grants that our health and education department was able to, participate in. So we've been able to get more supplies I have working mannequins so the heads don't fall off and the legs don't fall off. I have extra scales because my class is big and people don't have to stand in line and wait to the side. But as for the textbooks, like I said, I've been able to get the textbooks, but it's the uniform costs, basically. The uniforms and the state exam, everything else I do want to share this. I hear a lot of what's going out, of course, in the community. We are the lowest cost for a CNA program. Our program is it's like if they had to pay anything out of pocket, it would be like about a total of $350, whereas on the outside, they're paying $1,200 to $1,500 to get into an institution that will give them just online training. And then they go out into the real world and I've seen them because sometimes we have to share the skilled nursing facility where they do not even know how to serve food or assist with meals, or they're learning everything there. And that's why I'm so happy that we have a skills lab so that they've already had that practice. They just need the hands-on. So basically there's not a high overhead, but the uniforms, they get dirty, I used to have them turn in like it was a loan, but how can after 14 weeks, a lot of them, they had to start paying out of pocket. And so I spoke with my dean and they agreed, let's get some uniforms so that we can storage them and hand them to the students, so that would lower their costs. But basically it's just keeping up on the supplies that are in the lab. I mean, that's always ongoing. But other than that, no, everything's great. I mean, the class is full. During COVID, oh my goodness, one time I had 6 students, and then out of the 6, only 3 had finished. And then my dean goes, hey, if we can't get the stats up, then they could utilize me in the nursing department. And then it turned around and now I have a full cohort since 2023. So yeah, but the COVID really, took a turn for, it was not a great, situation, but that's in the past. Hopefully we won't get another, pandemic or anything like that, but yeah.
I think there's a question in the back.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name is Sandra and I serve as the Dean of Engagement and Completion. One of the programs that's under my department is the Undocumented Student Resource Connection. And I know that this license is a state license, and I believe it's the California Department of Public Health. Is that right?
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, in the state of California, undocumented individuals have access and a pathway to career through state licenses. So I'm curious why the Social Security number is required?
That is California Department of Public Health that's not my, that's their recommendation. Also, they need that for their fingerprinting, definitely. No?
No, you can get fingerprinted as an undocumented individual in the state of California. And California licenses are accessible to the undocumented student.
Okay. So what was your question?
I was wondering why we require it internally when the state doesn't require it.
I received my directions from the California Department of Public Health and on their website. And I would love to share that with you when we're done, just to show you this is their recommendation. So I'm not going, I'm not, adding something to make it difficult for an undocumented student, but I do want to show you the list that I received from the Department of Public Health. And maybe they should take that off because, but I will show you that list on the requirements of what they suggest for them to have to get their licensing.
It's required, yeah, yeah.
No, but thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, I'm more than happy to show you where I got that information from. And
One question.
sure, go ahead.
Just for just a suggestion, because I'm the faculty coordinator for our justice impacted students. You said background check. Would it be possible to list what would eliminate individuals from this career path?
Oh, yes.
So that would, I think that would be helpful, so that. way
It's
if
on my
students-
website.
Okay.
We have a declaration of conviction and no conviction. Okay. And I'm glad you brought that up. I had one scenario where a student, she enrolled, gave her, the information. She said, I said, you have to either put yes or no, this goes to, once again, for your licensing. So if you omit something and they find out later, then what was the purpose of you spending this whole semester, for this program? You're not going to get licensed. So she didn't tell me right away, but then later in the program, she goes, well, Dr. Marr, I had this happen to me and that happened to me. And I said, I don't make that decision, but I will give you the number and the contact to discuss with the California Department of Public Health, whether or not, that's going to impede you getting your license. But thank you for bringing that up. Also on my website, there is a declaration of conviction and no conviction that they are to fill out, and has a long list of all of the possible misdemeanors or felonies, and it says that and it's in detail, if you have any of these, then you're going to have to bring like certain paperwork, like your probation, if it was dismissed or whatever. But once again, that does not go to me. That goes to the California Department of Public Health. And so there is a form that they need to fill out as well when they're doing their enrollment.
Yeah, because I know that law has changed, and I believe it's the length of any conviction and then expungement. So I'll look up that law and I'll look up your website. So
Okay, sure, go ahead. Sure, that's fine. But like I said, I don't make that decision. I just want to get them educated and get them working. And then the licensing is up to the CDPH.
You go through an accreditation process as well?
Yes, every 2 years. And I just got credited till 2027. Yay! Thank you. Oh God, they were hard. Every 2 years, I'll submit the same paperwork that I did 2 years ago. And then the new director or person, all of this is wrong. And it's like, but you approved it last year, so why is it wrong this year? So you just gotta, do what they say, submit the paperwork back, and yep, so it was approved. Thank you.
First slide.
Oh. I guess I didn't even want to think about that anymore. It was such hard work getting it approved, but yes, definitely. That was my third time since being program director where I was able to successfully continue with the renewal process. Yes. Mhm.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay. Go ahead. Thank you. And I will set up for. Oh, this one's yours. Yes, because she connects that one because I wanted to see if her video can play.
It played, it was sent.
Yeah.
But it played. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's just a click through to advance.
Yep, you can
arrows
arrows
on the right.
on the right.
Perfect. There. Thanks. Great. My name's Chelo. I'm the chair of horticulture, and got Dean Aguilar representing in here. Good to see you. So I'm going to go through a little bit about the horticulture department and then some of the trends that we're seeing. So the general about the horticulture department and what we do, because we're sort of off in the corner of campus and people see us here and there, but I think they see us a lot more than they really realize they do. We kind of offer three main areas of focus in our department, and that's pretty general for the horticulture world. We focus on plant production, the landscape world, and then floral production, as well as floral design. So pretty three very specific areas, but all related to horticulture. And I got to include some good pictures of kind of what we do in those three different areas. In terms of engagement, we engage quite a bit. Again, a lot of times people don't notice this is us, but from college and community engagement, we do weekly floral sales. That's throughout the majority of fall and spring semester, as well as a few during the summer semester. We also do a yearly plant sale that's coming up next weekend. So if you need some good plants, come on down. And then we also support a lot of different events. You see a picture of the ARC graduation a couple of years ago there, providing plants and floral displays for that, as well as several other different events throughout the semesters for all sorts of different departments. If you guys are interested, get those requests in early because we actually fill up way faster than you'd ever think. But we're happy to engage with that, and it's a great way for us to connect with the community. In terms of industry engagement, we engage both at the local and national level. The local level, we're bringing students out to nurseries, out to wholesale production for agriculture as well as ornamental production. This gets students really kind of engaged and connected with potential jobs out there, and to start to get them to understand which area of horticulture that they're most interested in. On the national level, we've gone to the National Collegiate Landscape Competition, and it's really the biggest landscape student career fair in the nation. There's 60 plus colleges and universities there, generally 700 to 800 students competing. And it had been a really good opportunity for our students to see other students from across the nation, see how they are on par with them, as well as be able to engage with nationwide companies as well as regional companies for potential employment. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to attend this since the pandemic for a number of reasons, but looking forward to getting back there. In terms of certifications that we offer, we do offer or include 3 certifications through our program. One is the Qualified Water Efficient Landscaper, or QUEL. It's the EPA WaterSense labeled program. It allows them to do water audits and irrigation audits for Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance. And we also do training through 2 of our classes in regenerative landscape certifications through Rescape in maintenance and design. Both of these, or all 3 of these, are industry recognized certifications that makes them more competitive in the job market. In terms of student focus, I'm going to go into the stats a little bit, but we're really good about not having really any textbooks in our classes. There's 1 class that has a required textbook. Those students use it throughout the entire program. So while it is a cost, it is used throughout the entire 4 semesters. And in terms of supplies and different tools that are used, the department supplies all of those. So for our landscape design labs, we supply the drafting boards as well as all the drafting equipment. And then for all of our other classes, we supply the floral tools, work gloves, protective equipment, et cetera. So really strong focus on making sure that there is no additional cost to our students. And here's sort of why, in terms of looking at sort of our enrollment trends. As of fall 23, we were pretty much back to pre-pandemic levels, which is great. And now we're even beyond that, which is nice and strong for us. And I know it's super small and I can't even read it from here. But the reality of it is these are our core indicators, and I'll just kind of go through them. In looking at our student population, we are primarily DI. We're an incredibly diverse student body across cultural diversity, but also in terms of non-traditional college age, single parents, et cetera. The one that hits kind of across the majority is really low income. Of, you know, the 18 that are represented here, I think 14 are low income. And so that zero cost is really important for them. So I feel like we're doing a good job of supporting that. You'll notice kind of 2 in here. Again, you can't read it, but we do actually have 3 top codes in our program, 2 that really get recognized. One is general horticulture or plant production. The other one is the landscape world. And one piece that I will point out to you verbally is that the core indicator where we often are quite shaky is really, especially on the horticulture side of things, is really the employment piece, right? After they complete, where are they going to work? Part of that is really typical in this industry, is that part of it is not tracked, right? Like you just can't dig up the data on it. The other part is that in the horticulture piece of things, there's not a good pipeline right now. And that's really because we haven't had the full-timer that has focus on that for several years now. And I'll get into improvements on that. This side, or the right-hand side of the screen, which again, you can't read, it's actually, that is the landscape area, and that's actually significantly better. And I think that it really speaks to having the mentors in the department that can set up those connections. So ultimately, looking at advancing actions and looking at who we're focusing on, we focus on everybody because we are so diverse. And that's one of our successes. We're also celebrating that student engagement on campus as well as in the industry. In addition to that, low to no cost to students. The support from MCT and Dean Aguilar has been huge. We probably wouldn't have as strong of a voice without it. So huge appreciation there. Things to reiterate here, things that we discovered, that employment pipeline is absolutely critical. And we really need it in all 3 areas, not just the landscape area. So moving forward, we are in the process of a new full-time hire, which should be a huge help for us. That full-time hire, we get one, we're looking at just filling one of those roles, either production or floral, which will help to set up that pipeline there. And ideally, we end up with those employment pipelines that get built, and we can sort of push the needle on that employment number. Other support needed. We've got a ton of support, but things that I've noticed are for our design students, while we do have VMware and the students can log in from anywhere, with the programs that we use, there's a heavy lag, like a significant lag, especially if there's a lot of people on at the same time. So that can be really difficult. And I'd really like to explore if there's any program where students can check out a computer that will actually run these programs so that they can do it while they're off campus without a heavy lag. The other piece is really our facilities in terms of functioning. They're antiquated, they're not accessible, and repair requests generally are pushed to a pretty low priority. We deal with it. It's just part of kind of being adaptable in the industry and in the horticulture world. But these are pieces that could help to support us. And that's about it. Thank you from horticulture. Again, April 12th, next Saturday, plant sale. And to let you know, you might want to get there early because it's been cold and we don't have heat in our greenhouses. We don't have a whole lot of tomatoes this year. So if you want tomatoes, you better get there soon.
One quick question. You
Yeah.
have a water pressure problem out in horticulture?
Just in one greenhouse now. Yep, so that got hit. Thank you.
Making progress.
Yes, absolutely, right? Which is huge. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I love seeing your work and your students' work across campus. It always brings me joy, and I just appreciate the program so much. And really want to just congratulate you on keeping the costs down and understanding that for our students. That's one of the questions I've been asking everybody here
Yeah.
about OER's UTC. So I really appreciate, you know, just that, the students who we serve are, you know, to be able, you need us to reduce barriers.
Absolutely.
Financial is one of them. So,
Yeah.
Thinking about the tracking piece.
And,
I know some folks
so
are
the
trying to do
inventory out late for her, but it was like.
partnership we have going on right now, so something to consider. Might
Great.
be helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's always been a real struggle for us because I know the former students that are out there, right? Like I know that there's way more than 5 working, right? Like I know that, like I see them out there and they're out there making money, but it's a odd industry from that standpoint. So I'd love to look into that. Thank you.
Did you say for the technology, did you say that they have computers to check out? They just don't have, we don't have computers to check out right now. What's the software that you would need?
So we use a specific CAD software, and we have all the licenses for it. It's just a matter of like the students are trying to work on it while, you know, as homework while they're off campus. And that's a little bit of a challenge because they're trying to work on it, but the lag is so great that it'll literally take them an hour to do something that should take 2 minutes. And so if there's any way that they can just check out a computer, and we would love just to buy them, but then, right, like all of a sudden we've got to buy them every semester, every, 2 years and replace them. So if there's any kind of program like that.
Shayla, and you think that the laptop would have the Datascape on it? That's what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, because we have the laptops.
It'd just be a matter
I
of
don't want to run Datascape though.
transferring the license,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Which would be fine.
Chromebooks won't do it.
No. The program we use, there is an incredibly inexpensive student version but it's still like the students have to buy it, and those students, they can work with it all semester, no problem, but it's the other students that aren't purchasing it.
Not that it's a perfect solution, but the library does have some computers they can set aside to load up software like that for student use.
That would be awesome.
Not on campus, but it's on campus.
Oh, so that they can go to it. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the labs are always open, and I know all the teachers, I mean, I always have, 4 different students from other classes in there working while I'm teaching, which is totally fine. They're all open to it. We're good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
For all the work and, yes. No, I appreciate it. So thank you all. This concludes this semester.
Thank you.
Hey, Shayla, I really like the middle part about your D. That was awesome.